My name is Brian Engelman,
And I'm Blake Walley.
and today is Thursday, March 9th, 2023, and you are watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. All right, Blake, we are live. Welcome, everybody, for watching. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we need another intro. Some days Stephanie can join us, and some days she can't. So she's on that graphic, and she's not here today, so we might need an intro where it's just you and I. Blake, how are you doing, sir?
Intro. I am doing well so far, Brian. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I was motivated. I was inspired to introduce you today. Something popped into my head, and I wanted to share this with you. And I wanted to share this with the audience. Because when I see you these days, like I start singing this in my head. And here we go.
Give me a head with hair, long, beautiful hair.
That's my song for Blake. What do you think, guys? Give me a head with hair, long, beautiful hair. What do you think? Is it appropriate? If you were a wrestler, this would be the song that you walk out to.
Shining, gleaming, streaming, flaxing, waxing. Give me.
I love it.
Nice.
I'm envious of the hair. You got that Samson thing, that Samson and Delilah thing going on, right?
Not quite, but it was interesting. All I had to do was do the lockdown and shut down all the barber shops in LA, and I got to grow my hair out for the first time in my life. So, yeah. So now that I've already took this much time to get my hair to grow out, I'm going to keep it for a while.
You're kind of committing to it. You're locked in on it. You're like, hey, you did this to me. So this is your FU to the system. It's like you look at Lori Lightfoot getting her hair did, and Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi getting their hair did during the pandemic that they shut everything down for. And you're like, I'm going to grow this hair to my ass as a protest to what you've done to me. Something like that.
Kind of. I didn't even know if I could pull it off, but I was surprised. It came in really nice. So I was like, yeah.
You know what else? It's reminding me. Let me see if I can find this.
Just got out of the shower, so it's a little messed up, but it'll get there.
Well, see,
it's a little pain in the ass because it keeps getting in my eyes. That drives me crazy, but
I can imagine that. See, the other thing it's reminding me of is this. Let's see, get this image up here. Remember this movie? This classic movie? This is Aaron Rodgers, who showed up to training camp looking like Nicolas Cage from the 1997 classic Con Air. Have you do you have like a similar, do you see this character in yourself when you're brushing your teeth?
Maybe I should try to pull that off for Halloween. I'm gonna have to lift a little more, but
yes.
That's okay.
Please do this for Halloween. So, I guess you need a wife beater. You could get like a denim short
I've already
sleeve.
got some. Yeah, I did Snake Plissken last year, and that was with a black. What do you call that shirt?
Eye patch?
I was going to say wife beater, but that's probably not appropriate. No, that's the shirt.
They're called wife beaters.
What do they call it?
Well, they're called that because trashy people that act in a trashy manner seem to wear that shirt. Tank tops, male undergarments. I feel like we're gonna have Jeremy's tank tops. Like if there's an outrage over male tank tops, that Jeremy's is gonna come out with. Not only do we have razors, not only do we have chocolate, we have wife beaters. Yeah, so it looks like in this picture here, you might need to set fire to the domicile that you're in and run in the opposite direction holding a firearm.
Well,
So
use a green screen, yeah, something like that.
yeah, but where's the fun in green screen? Let it rip, Blake. Let it rip. Just burn it down. Burn it down like it's a literal insurrection, and it's the most literal attack on our democracy, not a republic, our democracy since Pearl Harbor.
Yep, and the Civil War, 9/11, all combined.
All combined with dinosaurs and comets. Dinosaurs and comets literally attacked our capital. The whole story has fallen apart. It is such an interesting time to be alive right now, Blake. I was commenting on this. I was ruminating, and I said, first of all, I said Watergate has nothing on J6. I mean, when you compare it, it's like taking a marble out in a rowboat into the ocean and dropping a marble in. And you're like, let's compare the ocean to the marble. Watergate has always been a stupid story about some low rent thugs who busted into a DNC headquarters and I looked around and got some documents and maybe listened to a couple phone calls. The stuff they did to get fake FISA warrants to spy on Trump's campaign, he somehow miraculously got in because he blew out Hillary Clinton. And even with their cheating, they weren't able to overcome it. So that for 4 years, they lied about this president. They pinned the tail on Russia every week. There's a Russian P tape. Oh, you're a Russian asset. Oh, you're Russian sock puppet accounts. Oh, Russia, because they overthrew Ukraine in 2014. And they've always had their eyes set on trying to bring down Russia and then, bring down Trump along with them. And then this whole January 6th thing, Blake, the entire narrative that they have been pushing, promulgating this fake story it's all falling apart. And I said, my God, this is the biggest story in American history. This coup of a duly elected president, this overthrow, the treason, and everything that's been lost in this conversation is, why did they do it? Why did Bowser turn down security? Why did Pelosi turn down security? Why did McConnell turn down security? Why do they have all these assets there, opening gates and opening doors and staging photo ops and have a camera crew on Pelosi? Oh, I'd like to punch Trump in the face. It's so stupid. Every aspect is, and all they wanted to do was, well, we can't have them actually debating on the floor of the Congress about these 7 states that all paused at the same time with Trump up 10 to 15 points in all these states so that we could flip it in the morning and declare that Biden's the most popular president of all time. They didn't want to have that debate on the floor of Congress, so they allowed this to happen. They created it by shooting tear gas, by shooting flash grenades, by opening the gates and opening the doors and busting through certain areas. The assets of the federal government were committing a proven percentage of the violent acts that day. There were definitely mostly peaceful protests, and then some people did some things. Like we're combining CNN with Ilhan Omar, mostly peaceful but fiery protest, and then some people did some things. We acknowledge that. But the narrative that they've been pushing forward, Kinzinger and Cheney and Pelosi, they're straight treasonous criminals. They've been lying to us for 2 years, and they've actually hidden evidence, Blake. They've hidden the evidence. There are laws. What is that called? The Brady Law, where you can't hide potentially exculpatory evidence against when there's a prosecutor has it in their possession. They have to release it to the defense. I mean, everything that you could have done in an illegal way has been done, and we are living in these times. And you and I and Ford, we were literally there filming it, documenting it, observing it, finding out what there was to see, gathering information, talking to man on the street. By the way, go on youtube.com/The New American Media and check out our documentary. It's called Declassified, the unreleased J6 interviews, I think it's called. But yeah, please check that out. Blake, oh my God. This is such a time to be alive. I'm so happy to watch it all collapsing in front of us. So how about this? Let's do we're going to run what do you call them? Stingers? These little 4 second. Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
a stinger. Let's act like a little bee and buzz off, would you? By the way, if you're in the comments section, leave your comments. Dreamer Ultra. What up, Dreamer Ultra? Better late than never indeed. Thanks for joining us. I do want to say a couple things before I hit the stinger, and then we get to the organized portion of our show. We have a podcast. Blake, how do people find our podcast? I don't even know. What do they do? How is it set up? How do you, it's
Ryan's
called
gonna be the last man in America who doesn't know what a podcast is.
but I've never used them. I've never listened to them. I've never had need to. I just watch shit on YouTube, essentially. So how do people find our podcast?
Kind of similar. Right now it's just launched. So there's it's on Apple or iTunes, whatever you want to call it. There's a Google one. There's Spotify. It's on Spotify. And what else? There's a couple smaller ones. I forget the names of them. We're not on iHeartRadio or Stitcher yet, but we'll get there. So, but yeah, if you guys, it's easier if you're driving or whatever. You can pick up the podcast somewhere if you can't watch live or watch the replay or what have you. It's very convenient podcast to get the broadcast. Nice, easy. You don't have to stream it on YouTube or anything like that if you're away. So it's very handy way to get the info. So yeah, you can go check that out. Subscribe.
Yeah,
if you're ambitious. Leave a nice 5-star review.
Yes, give us 6 stars if you can. Throw a couple stars in our. As for a few other things that we have up and going now, so that is our podcast, and I'm going to also be relaunching the Unhappy Hour Sports Show podcast, and we're going to be putting content up there as soon as very soon, very soon. I miss my sports. I've been doing this for a long time, and sports is usually it's my piece of ginger in between the sushi. It's my palate cleanser. Like this political stuff. It's almost like taking a power drill and just zapping it right through your frontal lobe or something. It's so frustrating and annoying and irritating and agitating sometimes covering current events and politics. So I like the world of sports as an escape. Unfortunately, ESPN, ABC, Disney have really turned it into a woke disaster. And by the way, it's not on our list, but I don't know if you saw JJ Redick tear into Kendrick Perkins. They were trying to push a fake racist narrative, and JJ Redick shut his ass down to the point where they've had to apologize. That was pretty great. I love watching ESPN collapse, by the way, because we've called the Unhappy Hour the anti-ESPN for a long time. So anyhow, we'll be doing stuff like that, but check out our podcast for sure. We also have a Patreon page. I had to reboot that and get that going. So just look at the New American Media on Patreon. It should be in the show links as well. Started a new Rumble channel. Rumble, dude. I'm learning it. It took a while because things had to populate and it didn't have the functionality, but now I'm kind of learning my way around. I love that there's a YouTube alternative now since they so heavily shadow ban and demonetize our stuff. What's your experience been with Rumble? Are you happy with that platform? Do you like it? Do you have your own content there for people to check out?
I do. I got a stock one channel. I think it's built up. I just don't like the name of it. It's Blake Walley with underscores, so it's painful. So I'm rebranding it as the Next Level News, but it's going to take a little while to populate it. But it's out there if you guys want to subscribe. I'm going to blast it probably this weekend, and then I'll get it up to date. And I will also be putting the show on there. Once we get a certain number of subscribers, then we can just live stream there as well. But we have to have, I think, at least 100 subscribers so far. I got 87 on one, but I'm going to ditch that channel. But side issue.
What's so wrong with Blake Walley underscore?
I'd rather just have it Blake Walley or TV's Blake Walley. I don't know why I did the underscores in it, but it just kind of felt like it ruined the title for me, and I don't know if I can change it. So I'd just rather do it under the Next Level News brand.
Gotcha.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the New American Media also follow Blake Walley, of course, but then he'll do a new one, then follow that new one. So follow all of the ones. But yes, definitely check out the New American Media Rumble account on Twitter. We're at American_media_. As I mentioned, youtube.com/the New American Media. What else are we on? I don't know. Facebook deleted our page without cause, without opportunity to remedy any alleged issue, no opportunity to appeal, no communication. Awful. So we're not there. But the Agree to Disagree show is on a private group on the Facebooks. And now they did call me an adult sexual exploiter because I shared a Hunter Biden meme publicly available Hunter Biden meme wearing his tighty whities and a scarf or something, holding some Chinese spy balloons. So stupid. Just a generic picture, just a little dopey meme. And they have like slapped restrictions on the account. I can't stream live through there. They've limited our reach. They're threatening that they're going to delete the group. Piss off, Facebook. Like, I'm over it. I don't care what YouTube does. I got Rumble. I don't care what Facebook does. What's the alternative to Facebook? What's the one there? Minds or Locals or I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Parlor. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Truth Social. I don't really use it. But
Twitter's the main one.
Yeah, we're on Twitter. So anyhow, check out all of our stuff, please, because we are relaunching, rebuilding, doing all of this stuff. So let's get into the show today, shall we? Heck yeah, we got so much to talk about. I'm just so excited. Here we go. Well, the story that has seemingly set the internet on fire, I'm going to pose this question as an agree or disagree. So this goes out to you, Dreamer Ultra. We want you to chime in as well as everybody else in the caption area. Here's the question. We want to know, do you agree or disagree? And then tell us why. Tucker and the Republicans should feel ashamed for releasing the unseen January 6 tapes. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Tucker and the Republicans should feel ashamed for releasing the unseen J6 tapes?
Strong disagree, and that's based off of a headline that I read from the Epoch Times, and that's Joe Biden actually said that. It says Republicans and Tucker Carlson should feel ashamed over the January 6 tapes. So that's kind of why we're titling today's episode is the kind of the panic in DC, because they did have a meltdown Monday night, and now they have been just desperately trying to shut down Tucker from doing any more broadcasting. And Tuesday night went by, Wednesday night, here it is Thursday, and we have not seen any new videos after Monday, which they debunked at least 4 major lies Monday night. And yeah, you saw Chucky Schumer panic and McConnell and so many others and put pressure on the network to stop Tucker. And just bringing the shame, the liberal media is freaking out. They're not really debunking everything. They're just basically telling you that Tucker's somehow lying, even though he's showing, videotape that should be very obvious. It hasn't been edited. I mean, some of it's just to show, like, the shaman or whatever, QAnon shaman. So that narrative fell apart spectacularly. And now
so the fourth, so you said there were 4 things that were debunked. Let's lay them out. What was 1, 2, 3, 4? Like, hit reset for the people that might have missed it the past couple days, or maybe they're watching Morning Joe or Jimmy Kimmel are feeding them the news, and they they don't think what's happening is a really significant big deal, a treasonous disaster.
Oh yeah, because they can't even cover it. All they did was distract and talk about how Tucker didn't like Trump and some texts that came out.
They're such 13-year-old girls. These are such middle school boys in a locker room. Like, I heard Tucker doesn't really like President Trump. Well, we'll get to that. That we have a separate question about that one. Well, should we get to that one?
Well, yeah.
Well, here let's just bounce to it for a second.
We all know that one. We'll get to that one.
Well, I brought it up because it's literally what we just said. So let's address it. Blake, agree or disagree? It is totally super important that Tucker Carlson secretly hates Trump. Do you agree or disagree that it's totally super important that Tucker Carlson secretly hates Trump?
Disagree.
What, you do?
He's allowed to have his opinion. I don't really care. But I just care that he's like a reasonably objective news host. Everyone's got their biases, but I think does as good of a job as anybody on cable news. So as much as hate as he takes, and I used to be a big critic, I just never really took him seriously back in the day. But since he got his new show, I think he's done a fantastic job, and he's always invited people on to talk to him, people that disagree. Which is great because you don't see that from Rachel Maddow. She's not interested in having somebody who's going to come on the show and challenge her with different set of beliefs, but Tucker will. And he's showed it last night, saying he's put the invite out, hey, Chucky Schumer, hey, Mitch McConnell, why don't you come on the show and give us your perspective on that? So that's why I respect Tucker Carlson. even though I might not be 100% aligned with him. I think he's about as fair as a newsman as you're going to find in the year 2023. Easily. Everything's also biased and skewed. So that's what I would say. But there were texts that came out immediately following the 2020 election, in which he was critical of some of the people, Sidney Powell, or some of the things going on with Dominion machinery, or with Trump. He sounded like he was getting ready to happy about getting rid of Trump. At least that's the silver lining. He says he puts off like a demonic energy or whatever. Yeah, I mean, Trump is an abrasive guy. It's not for everybody, but I like the fact that he's kind of like that, because we need a bully like that in DC to go after all these criminals that have been running everything. And they didn't want Trump. So they've done everything they could to smear him and his reporters and make sure that he can never run again. But these J6 tapes have, like I said, have debunked everything in a way, or at least four of the major storylines. One, showed that it was not a violent insurrection, as they're calling it. Two, this Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman, it didn't look like he broke in. He was kind of not escorted, but he was not a threat to anybody. And that they didn't let him use that evidence in his court case. So they deliberately made him out to be one of the key people of this whole insurrection, as they call it, this fake bogus narrative. And they put an innocent man behind bars for 4 years already. Hopefully he'll get pardoned. But that was
the most important part of it: non-violent. He didn't hit a person. He was walking around with the cops. He led a prayer in the room, thanking the cops for granting them access. Like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the guy was non-violent. How did he get in there? Like, that's a little unclear still. But anyway, so those are two narratives that got shut down, Blake. What were the other two?
I got 5 then. We got the Ray Epps thing. He contradicted in his testimony. So it appears that he is some kind of a informant at the very least, or he was there as an agitator.
He was on the ground doing stuff. What was he seen doing over on the side gate with that
pushing barriers? And there was also another one. Was a big sign that was out, and he was helping push the sign into a line of police
so that crosses the line from undercover to you're a participant. You are an undercover agitator. And they used to do this go back to the 60s with the peace and love movement. I mean, probably go back to the beginning of time. You have any gathering of people. If you could infiltrate the group and light something on fire, throw a projectile, shoot a bullet, break a window, if you could turn it violent, then you could clamp down on the people and start swinging bats and arresting people and really turn the narrative into like, look at all these bad people who showed up. And it's like, that was your person that did that. Okay, so that was another one, the Ray Epps. That was number 3 that got debunked.
Yep, and then Officer Sicknick, who was not beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. That timeline was completely off.
And that is such a disgusting thing to do. A Trump-supporting police officer, by the way, that they painted a fake narrative about this guy to make Trump look evil. One person was shot and killed that day, and that was Ashley Babbitt. She was shot and killed by someone of the other race, a male of another race. A male of another race killed an unarmed veteran mother. Good Lord, why didn't the country get burned down like it did in 2020? I guess maybe it didn't fit their narrative because the races were maybe something that mainstream media didn't think they could outrage everybody with because they're addicted to that type of thing. But I mean, an unarmed veteran mother shot and killed in cold blood, and they didn't even put this guy on trial for murder. Kyle Rittenhouse defends himself against 3 people. They're chasing him with weapons. They're aiming weapons at him. It's super clear there should have never even been charges brought. This guy had to go through hell and back and deal with a court case. It was all on camera, exonerating him. It was clear self-defense. But then this cop doesn't have to face any repercussions from hiding behind a little thing and shooting a woman in the throat. I'm sorry, man. Like that's ridiculous. The fact that guy didn't have to face charges, and the fact that Sicknick was paraded around, they brought his body to state and they used it as this big prop to talk about how bad Trump is when Trump is saying, let's go peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard. I'm sorry, man. Like this is demonic. This is pure evil coming out of the rhinos like Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, Kinzinger, Cheney. Go down the list. There's probably a bunch of them, and the Pelosi, the Bowser, the Schumer, all these clowns. So, okay, that's number 4 narratives that were debunked. The Sicknick one.
Yeah, Sicknick also had texts that he had sent to a friend of his saying that Antifa was one smashing windows. So that kind of fits also into my theory that Sicknick was probably killed after the fact.
That he was offed.
Along with the other officers that allegedly committed suicide, which is just total BS. We had cops admitting that they were set up, and then you've got Sicknick texts, and there's some mysterious stroke, and then they used his death and tried to make up a BS story about how
These people are demons, man. These people are demons. Okay, so we debunked that. What else was debunked?
Josh Hawley, who was, they said, Howard, who ran down the hallway like by himself, and it was BS. He was actually the last in a big group of senators that were running down the hallway, but they deliberately framed it as so it was just him. It was
that reminds me of when the Rupert Murdoch crew, when Fox and Fiends. I'll call them Fox and Fiends now because I don't like Fox. I'm all in against Fox. I'll call them Fox and Fiends, and that was eerily reminiscent to when Chris Wallace.
Yeah,
eerily reminiscent to when Chris Wallace trotted out the Fine People hoax during the 2020 presidential debate. Completely disproven, discredited, complete fabrication based on editing. President Trump said there's plenty of fine people here. And I'm not talking about this group or that group, but there were fine people here that came out on both sides. Wallace pushed that. Fox pushed Wallace to push that against Trump. Really siding with Biden, pushing fake news, literal bullshit, never happened story in the 2020 election to collude to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States. That's fucking Fox News, people. You can't look at Fox News and think that they're on your side. Oh, they're conservative. They get it. Oh, at least they're in on it. These are neocons. These are rhinos. These are globalists. These are demons. Fox and Fiends, I'm going to call them. I wanted to, well, I'll get to this in a second. Was there a 5th or a 6th debunk on this?
Yes, insurrection, there's Epps, there's Hawley, there's Sicknick, and then there's the QAnon shaman. So that's at least, that's 5 right there.
I want to pull this up real quick. There's a couple things that from earlier in our conversation. I just want to scroll through this. If you're not following the New American Media on Twitter, do so. It's at American_media_. Allegedly, one of the quotes is from Tucker. We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. And we tweeted out, yeah, so. In response to this, somebody said, oh, why is that loading? Get that off there. Matt Clark here at Matt Clark Report said, I'm sorry, I think you mistook me for someone who actually gives a shit what Tucker Carlson thinks about Trump. I saw that and replied. I said, well, libertarians, MAGA, and Republicans care about amplifying truth tellers, not cheerleaders. Rhinos, globalists, Democrats, monsters, Marxists peddle lies as a means to an overthrow. Means to an end equals fascism, totalitarianism, hell on earth, pain and misery. And I think that's so important that we understand that. We don't give a shit. We're not here to cheerlead. We need people that are truth tellers. And that's essentially the difference. This is a Branko image here, one of the comics. This is creepy Chuck Schumer. He's holding up a talking point saying J6 was worse than 9/11 and the Civil War in Pearl Harbor. Fox, you better shut this liar up. And Tucker's standing here, you know, a police officer, essentially what amounts to taking a selfie with this QAnon guy. And there is no QAnon. It's just Q or Anons. It's so stupid that they say that. But yeah, I mean, buddy with the cops, nonviolent, and all he's doing is showing video evidence. And this guy is sweating this creepy Chuck Schumer. Here's another one from the Washington Post, 1954. This is a tweet from Philip Jackson. I don't think the basketball coach for the Bulls and Lakers, maybe somebody else, but he is still wearing his face thing. I don't know what this is. But anyway, he says, maybe it's time we learned what an actual insurrection looks like. On March 1, 1954, a group of armed Puerto Rican nationalists fired into the House floor from the public galleries, wounding 5 representatives. I'm not very familiar with this story, but I found that interesting, so I tweeted it. Let's see if that's completely accurate. I saw this one. It was interesting to me. And they said, just a reminder of what the tallies were when they stopped the elections. 41-57, Trump in Pennsylvania. 53-45, Trump in Georgia. 54-44, Trump in Michigan. 51-46, Trump in Wisconsin. 50-48, North Carolina. 54-44, Trump in Michigan. I guess there's 2 Michigans here. Yeah, I guess that doubled up. But, you know, I mean, I watched this live.
Should have been Nevada, should have been the 6th, yeah. Or Arizona or something.
No, Arizona should have been in there. I mean, I watched it live, and I'm not going to allow these people to gaslight me. And what I commented was, I said it was the biggest blowout since Reagan, and somebody gave the order to stop counting votes. I want to know who gave that order. This one here, it says, sorry, I'm just gonna finish going through this because I thought there was some interesting comments today. It says, you left out the part where Pelosi, McConnell, and the appointees would not bring in the National Guard or reinforcements. They riled up the crowd on one side of the Capitol by firing mortars at them. And then at just the perfect moment when numerous Republicans were going to object to certifying the election, they opened the doors and let the crowd pour in, and then certifying the election the next day without objection. Incredible coincidental timing and actions all of the way through. And that is such an important point that has been lost in this. And I said, that's the real story of what J6 was. I also said here, Watergate has nothing on J6, nothing. J6 might be the biggest story in American history. The creation and release of COVID-19 might be the biggest story in world history, and they are both connected. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of share a few of these things because we do our show and we talk here, but there's ongoing threads of conversation in the Facebook group for the New American shit. What is it called? The Agree to Disagree show, the group over there, and we have different conversations on Twitter. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously not super important about that. And back to Tucker and the Republicans feeling ashamed for releasing the unseen J6 tapes. Back to the original question, Blake. You know, we had Ford Fisher on here, and he agreed with us that having one person only have access to these tapes is not okay. You know, like these tapes need to be viewed by multiple media outlets, if not everybody for public view. I guess now that we've had a day or two and you've seen Fox, really the story was Steve Bannon was saying that it was Fox that shut Tucker down. And you know, is Tucker really even talking about this? Is he even telling his side of the story why he's not continuing with the tapes? Where does everything stand right now? Are they going to keep Tucker on? Are they going to try to oust him like they did James O'Keefe when James O'Keefe went against their overlords, Pfizer, and instantly he's removed from the company? And it seems like Fox would be willing to throw their number one guy under the bus because he's not going along with the big lie. Obviously, the big lie is what the Pelosi and these people have been pushing with their J6 kangaroo court. What's your take on the current state of affairs? Like, how do you think this plays out? Is Tucker going to leave Fox? Are we going to get to see any more of the videos? How corrupt are the Murdochs? Like, what in the hell is going on at Fox?
Well, they got what's his name? Paul, who was this guy from Wisconsin, ran for a VP? I forgot his name already.
Paul Ryan.
Yeah. The old speaker, Mitt Romney's almost VP. Yeah, he's up there in Fox. I think he had Lou Dobbs fired. Yeah, he's got a lot of pull, and he's a neocon, swamp creature, and they've got that tightly controlled there. It's been great that Tucker's kind of been able to push back and put out some news stories that maybe aren't always approved. He's done a good job with a lot of the things that he's been covered that some of the other personalities won't touch. But now they really got him, and they've been able to shut him down for the last 2 days. So Tucker's been critical and saying inviting these people onto his show, whether that's the McConnell or Chucky Schumer or for anybody that wants to go on record or have the conversation. But yeah, apparently he's been under order and they've had to fill that time. So they've been putting the Russell Brand clips on there, I guess. That's been reported because they've had to cut some of these things out at the last minute. Like they were prepared to put out more unreleased footage, and that they stopped, that they're freaking out. So they got damaged big time Monday night, and who knows what else they've had on tap. But it could be showing some of the agitators or the undercover, the assets, the informants. We could sit here and speculate all day. It's not important. But what is important is we need to see that footage. And if they're not going to allow them to show us, then they need to release that and find another way. But you also bring up Ford Fisher. I thought it was interesting. Let me pull up a quick tweet that he put out a little while ago. Let's see. And that is that he was saying that the Washington Post confirmed that House Democrats also have full access to the January 6th footage and are free as well to do what they want with it. So they held on to this footage for 2 years. Pelosi could have given it to the liberal outlets if they wanted. So House Dems could keep it all Tucker Carlson exclusive or do the same with their preferred media or release it to the public. And Greg Sargent is one of the biggest hacks in the liberal media. And he's even admitting that. So they have access to all the footage. So why aren't they doing something about it? But the thing is, they don't want that footage out. They want to control the narrative. That is what is important to them, to make it look like it was a violent, armed insurrection led by these people that was done by Trump. And they can control that story and sit on the footage. They don't have to show the assets. They're putting these people in jail. It's a chill factor. And it also protects them from retaliation, which is something that could probably happen next. And speaking of Trump, that is something that he put out, is that the January 6th committee maybe should be prosecuted for fraud.
Well, here, let's do this. Let's do another stinger, and we'll go to our new agree to disagree question because we got that.
We can blend them all together.
Yeah, they are same thing. So this is another question we ask Dreamer Ultra and Dr. Jekyll and Frankie Brown. We're going to read this comment and we want to know, do you agree or disagree? And then tell us why in the comments. Agree or disagree, Blake? The liars on the J6 committee should be tried for fraud and treason. Do you agree or disagree? That sounds harsh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree because it seems like they are perpetuating a massive fraud, not only in this country, but on the planet, to try to control a narrative, to push their story, which has a lot of dangerous implications to it. You've got innocent people in jail. You've removed basically a sitting president. You're trying to prevent them from taking power again. And they're also censoring people on the internet to try to push this. It's really dangerous to do something like that. And looks like they've had, federal assets involved in agitating the crowd, infiltrating. They didn't want to tell you that. They also have problems with not having the security. Like you said, they were supposed to have National Guard could have been there, but it's like
20,000 extra people, I believe, is what they requested. 20,000 people.
Yeah, that would have prevented anything from happening. But they didn't want that because if nothing happened, then they could have done their procedures on the House floor like they didn't want to happen. Like, hey, let's take a look at these. Why did they stop counting in these 6 states? Maybe we shouldn't take those electorates or something suspicious there. And looks like Trump will win because they'll have to take those votes away. I don't know exactly how this would have happened. We never got the chance to find out. They made sure that didn't happen.
And that's the real story of January 6th. This was a setup and a cover-up to avoid having that tough conversation there. Frankie Brown in the comments said, did you see the Tucker's J6 shows from the past 2 days have disappeared from YouTube? Now, look, Frankie, I'll just say this. The New American Media, we've been doing this stuff for 11 years. I don't even know the lifetime views on the channel, maybe a couple million or something. But I mean, our stuff has been so shadow banned. It's been deranked. It's been demonetized. And it has, Blake, you said a chilling effect. watching people get demonized for walking, they're politely walking through. They have little guided tour paths, and they're just politely walking through and taking pictures. Like, these are not insurrectionists. The Trump fans, the MAGA fans, probably own an average about 18 firearms per person. If there was an insurrection about to happen, I think it would have played out completely differently. Completely differently. You had the president saying, let's go peacefully and patriotically, make our voices heard over here. We filled out official permits, and we're going to have a rally right here on the grounds. That's so far different from what Pelosi and these demons have been pushing out as a lie. And I don't know, I just don't even know anymore, Blake, the people that are regurgitating these stories, do they even believe any of this shit? Like, I know they just parrot what Jimmy Kimmel says on comedy, the comedy shows. He is so unfunny. He's so unlikable. And when he was trying to bash your doppelganger, Aaron Rodgers, called him a tinfoil hatter because he said we need to see the Ghislaine Maxwell Black Book already. Calls him a tinfoil hatter. I love the response on Twitter. I mentioned this yesterday, I believe, but it's just so perfect. I don't remember who to attribute it to. I wish I could, but go back, and someone said, tell me you're on the Epstein client list without saying you're on the Epstein client list.
David Bacchiarti, the left tackle for Rodgers. Yeah.
Oh, good for yes. Okay. Thank you. Good. Thank you for reminding me of that. But I just don't even know anymore. The people that are like listening to The View or Rachel Maddow, who are the awful people on the left? I guess it's everybody but Fox. But of course, Foxes are in the henhouse now. So it's Fox and Fiends. That network's dead to us. So I guess most of them are just telling these lies. So yeah, my point, to get back to what Frankie was saying here, it's not surprising what YouTube has done. YouTube is as awful as Facebook. I want to see the Google files, the YouTube files, the Facebook Meta files. I know the Twitter files were incredible because the comment was about Elon Musk. I didn't buy a company. I bought a crime scene. And I'm hearing they took down like 800,000 child. You can't even say the word. I don't even know what the algorithms pick up. Yes. What they accused me of doing for sharing a Hunter Biden crackhead meme is what they're doing. So yeah, Elon didn't buy a company; he bought a crime scene. So we desperately need the Meta files and the Google files for sure. But yeah, I'm not surprised they took them down. I guess, Blake, do you know if that stuff's still up on Rumble? Rumble doesn't. They don't bow to the same corporate overlords, the globalists trying to ruin the world, right?
Right. Well, yeah. Google runs YouTube, and you could say Google's probably just full of feds or CIA or NSA or what have you. But so is Twitter, and I'm sure obviously Meta Facebook is going to be full of it too. So, and they kind of use the excuse of Russian interference as a reason to get in there, and now they control the narrative. Yeah, no, it is.
It was a lie the entire time. A setup is a coup attempt. It was an organized coup to collaborate and collude to remove the duly elected president of the United States in an overthrow, a treasonous effort. They're all implicated.
Right. And speaking of that, they were on Capitol Hill this morning talking about this weaponization of the federal government. And they were talking about the Twitter files, and they were grilling Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberg for getting access to that. And they were panicking up there on Capitol Hill today. So
can you
imagine? They don't want that information out. Can
you imagine the direct messages they were sending to each other when they thought that was a secure site, when they thought it was a secure channel? Do you have any idea what Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton and Podesta and the Obama, go down the list. Imagine all the worst people when they thought Twitter was a safe space. Maybe they created a second account where they shared their information that way. That's what a lot of them are saying. Oh my God. I talk about uncovering a crime scene, purchasing a crime scene. Dear Lord. And the fact that Twitter's been around for how many years? 10 years or 12 years? I forget. Yeah. And they allowed all of those abusive videos and all those abusive accounts to thrive in their little underground market of evil. And the fact that it's all coming out, I mean, hallelujah, man. Friggin' bring it. Frankie Brown, she comments, my lib husband believes it. Everything mainstream says. Oh God. How do you? Oh
There's a
God.
lot of
I'm
people
sorry.
like that. A lot of people in my own family, they would think I was
Why?
crazy. I don't get it. No, there's smart, well-educated people that just they can't imagine that other people would go and like lie about stuff like that, or they're fearful. They're just people just go with the flow. They're not confident enough in their own personal opinions to go away from the official narratives put out there. So they just parrot those opinions, and it's tragic because that's why we're here. Otherwise, we shouldn't have to be doing this. Because if people understood this stuff and they could see through the BS, we do our best. We don't get everything perfect. Well, we try. We know that people on TV are lying. So we try to put out our own truths or do the best we can. Yeah.
Nobody pays us to lie. We're just
Right.
we're trying to find out the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Like it's the basic questions of what journalism is supposed to be. We're not in the pocket of Pfizer or big anything, big nothing. We're just here to call out the BS. I guess, talking about the people who aren't seeing the same, you've heard it said before. I think Scott Adams has said this multiple times. You're sitting in a movie theater and you're watching the same screen, but there's two different movies playing on the same screen. People are seeing different things. And the phrase cognitive dissonance refers to the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions in attitude changes. Let's see if this expands it a little bit more here. Or, I guess there's in the mental toll of it. Relevant items of information includes a person's actions, feelings, ideas, beliefs, values, and things in the environment. Cognitive dissonance is typically experienced as psychological stress when persons participate in an action that goes against one or more of those things. According to this theory, when two actions or ideas are not psychologically consistent with each other, people do all in their power to change them until they become consistent. The discomfort is triggered by the person's belief clashing with new information perceived, wherein the individual tries to find a way to resolve the contradiction to reduce their discomfort. Let's see, what's an example of cognitive dissonance? Eating meat. Some people who view them, I love that we went to veganism here. We're on Google. Of course they're going to go to veganism. Eating meat. Some people who view themselves as animal lovers eat meat and may feel discomfort when they think about where their meat comes from. Some researchers refer to this as the meat paradox. Of course, they went to that. I love how Google is not a neutral site to look up new information. By the way,
no, not at all. No, they own YouTube, so that's a big problem. And they manipulated everything. So when you look up anything on there, all the searches are skewed for, say, more liberal media outlets. I never see anything. Breitbart, Fox, not saying that they're better or not, but they don't even have a chance. So it's always
Here's a good
CNN
one
at the very top or whatever. But yeah, people don't want to change their minds on stuff. I don't know why that is psychologically. It makes me think we're just doomed as a species because we just kind of get into these like groupthink problems or these little cliques, these cults. And people are afraid to think differently. They want to just be part of the tribal mentality and be part of their group. Because once you say, hey, you start questioning certain narratives, then the group's going to kick you out. And that's terrifying for a lot of people. So I'm not going to get some of the smart people in my family. No matter, they should be able to get it. You can reason with them, but they're not going to, if they're going to abandon the narrative, then they're abandoning their other friends too. Because they love to just sit around and drink wine with their friends and bitch about the Republicans and Trump MAGA people. But what are they going to do when they realize that, oh, wait, you've been lied to? All the Russian stuff was BS. The COVID thing was BS. January 6th was BS. Jesse Smollett, Bubba Wallace. There's just, you go on and on and on.
Covington kid, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yep.
Russian P tapes, Russian collusion, and insurrection.
Ukraine, everything.
It's insane. How could they possibly think that that they were going to get away with any of this? How? And this is a good point from Dr. Jekyll making a comment here in the comments section of our stream. By the way, leave your comments. We love interacting with you when possible, saying that education and common sense are two very different things. Blake signified the number 2 with 2 thumbs up for that comment.
Yeah.
But back to this question of the day, agreeing or disagreeing that the liars on the J6 committee should be tried for fraud and treason. How does the process work? I mean, you have Merrick Garland going out to Ukraine along with Janet Yellen to focus on stealing our money for money laundering. I mean, you look at the Sam Bankman-Fried case. I mean, getting as much money as you can to wash it through different channels and bring it right back to these dirty Democrats and corrupt Republicans, the rhinos, the globalists, 2 birds of the same feather. If Merrick Garland doesn't give a damn about following the rule of law and addressing this, what happens next, Blake? Like where do we go from here with these liars on this J6 committee withholding evidence? By the way, I don't have the story pulled up. I don't know if you saw this, but what I was
that's what
looking into.
Yeah, that's the gist of that story. There is for withholding evidence on the Proud Boys or the QAnon shaman. You can't do that here in America. Withhold evidence that could have exonerated people. So you're manipulating that and then putting them in jail, holding them without charges, and not allowing them to, for their lawyers to see the videos that could change everything. So it's disgusting. And the QAnon shamans, Jacob Chansley, his attorneys come out and said pretty much the same thing. See if I can find that. He says it's appalling. They have a duty to provide video to me. Our justice system is so compromised. So, yeah, how infuriating. That's just way over the line. And so there has to be they have to be held to account for that. You can't put innocent people in jail in America to push your bullshit narrative. So that's done. It's over. I don't know. I don't know who's going to enforce it, but at least with the Republicans holding the House and maybe with enough people getting mad about this, maybe something will be done now. And it's going to have to set a precedent. But it's bad. It's really bad that it had to go this far, but at least finally the truth is coming out. So good thing Tucker put that video out, even if it was just the one day. But
yeah, you know what, Blake? We need to reach out to McCarthy's office. Can somebody look up his number to put it in the comments? I want to reach out to Kevin McCarthy when this show's over. No, because he was saying that he wants other media outlets to start covering it. So it's like Tucker's being silenced at Fox. Well, like we need to raise our hand and get over to DC. We want to sit in the skiff. We want to look in the room. We want to copy the video, and we want to tell our own story. We want to move in there for a week, get the information, and deliver it. So if someone could give me Speaker McCarthy's number, because this Marjorie Taylor Greene backing McCarthy, and there was Gates kind of holding up and getting concessions and forcing his, feet to the fire. Well, he didn't release the tapes. He gave something to Tucker, and he was able to put a couple of clips out, which were great, which completely blew up the narrative and exposed massive fraud and treason in my book. But yeah, I want to reach out to McCarthy's office, and I want to see if I can get in there as soon as possible, like immediately. Bring you, Blake. We'll head out on a road trip. We'll go meet with Ford. We'll go out there and we'll just start going through the footage. Because Tucker's definitely been silenced. I want to add this too, because we're talking about footage. This is the thing I've been hearing, and I want to kind of dissect it together. This is from hotair.com. Too bad to check. Did the J6 committee add sound effects to the surveillance videos? Now here's an angle. Exactly what you would expect out of this Hollywood craptacular lineup of fraudsters. So it says, unlike some of my friends on the right, I understand the criticism of Kevin McCarthy's decision to give Tucker Carlson exclusive access to the footage of J6. Partisans can manipulate video, especially 41,000 hours of it. And even Tucker presumably wouldn't disagree that he's a partisan. It's easy to slice up video to serve the narrative you prefer, to enhance and manipulate it, and to add dramatic flourishes to increase its emotional impact. Of course, yes. And we can understand that by discovering what the January 6th committee did with the video, which appears to include all of the above. I missed this over the weekend, but Miranda Devine reported that the early word from Carlson's review is how silent the source video was. So I guess this is a quote here, no quotes, but it's in gray. I'm assuming that's what that means. It says, but when you see what Carlson's team has put together over the past 2 weeks of combing through thousands of hours of video, you'll be struck by how different the reality was inside the building that day compared to the J6 committee's deceptively edited primetime dramas produced by a former ABC News president to bring maximum emotional impact. For instance, Carlson's team says the J6 committee added audio to silent CCTV footage, inserting screams and other crowd mayhem sounds to make it seem more ominous. The bookmarks on the video trove, and this is very important, Blake, as well. We haven't discussed the bookmarks. The bookmarks on the video trove show that the J6 committee had access to the very same footage, yet chose to show America only what suited its divisive, I'll add kangaroo court, narrative. There's no sugarcoating what happened that day. J6 was shocking and violent in parts, I'm interjecting here, or as I say, a mostly peaceful protest, and some people did some things. Back to the article, it says it remains a stain on the nation, but it was not an insurrection or a terrorist attack. So rounding out this article here, it says sound effects, really? The use of a former ABC News exec to package the video was well known prior to McCarthy's grant of exclusive access to Carlson, but it was assumed that editing was limited to ensuring that the evidence fit the committee's conclusions. It should be the other way around, but that's another issue. Adding sound to silent surveillance video would be a bald-faced attempt at emotional manipulation, utterly dishonest, and would completely undercut the integrity of the committee. And if that turns out to be true, that's if that turns out to be true, that is. But if it is, it makes Democrats' hyperventilation over Carlson's access look like yet another case of projection. Okay, I'll add this one more thing here. Democrats have voiced a faux concern that there might be something suspicious about Carlson's editing of the clips that he shows on his program. Of course, there is no evidence of that. On the contrary, it looks as though the people who have deceptively edited J6 footage are the Democrats through their risible January 6th committee. The Democrats' fake investigation of the J6 demonstration has been shot through with dishonesty from the beginning. That's a good place to wrap that up there. But I mean, Blake, what's your take on the audio editing here? Because this it shows an incredible intent to deceive, in my opinion. What say you?
Yeah, absolutely, and that goes again with Trump saying that the committee should be tried for fraud and treason, and maybe even that ABC producer too, because they're deliberately pushing a lie to the people and putting innocent people in jail and demonizing half the country so that they don't get in trouble, so that they and basically and maybe perhaps election interference on top of that. I mean, it is a massive crime and conspiracy by all of these people.
The penalty for treason is execution. It's death.
Yeah, and if they were willing to do that, if they were willing to put these guys in a gulag, torture them, have people up there without charges, I mean, I don't have a death wish or anything for bloodlust, but they might have to have some kind of a Nuremberg trial. They have to be held to account. And
crimes against humanity
and manipulating evidence. There's so many bad things that are just cannot happen here. This country was not designed to do that. We were supposed to be different, and this is not how justice is served. But
if anybody out there has seen the movie Wag the Dog, Blake, have you recently seen Wag the Dog?
Not recently, but probably 20 years ago. Yeah.
Watch it again. It's
right.
It's good. I had to dig out the VHS when Ford was over because I couldn't locate the DVD. And no, I'm not paying $3.99 to rent something that I already own. I will watch it on VHS, motherfucker. But anyway, so we watched it, and in that film, please watch this movie, Wag the Dog. It is a classic. And in this movie, they fabricate a fake war to bring to distract public opinion and attention away from the fact that the president was involved in some sort of sexual misconduct with an underage girl situation. So this was during the Bill Clinton timeline, and he was being accused of all sorts of things with Monica Lewinsky and Juanita Broderick, and go down the list. I mean, the accusations and what was proven is, I mean, it's a massive amount of accusations, we'll say. And, you know, it was around that time that there were little skirmishes popping off where President Clinton would send a missile at an aspirin factory, and there were little distractions on the global scene. There was what was it, Somalia, and
it was Kosovo or something like that, or whatever.
Yes, Bosnia Herzegovina. There were all these things that were like little distractions to try to refocus attention away from the shiny thing over here, which was the creepiness of Clinton. And in the movie Wag the Dog, they bring in the Hollywood guy to manufacture a war. Well, we're not at war with Albania. Yeah, well, who knows that? Well, there is no B-3 bomber. What's the B-3 bomber? I have no comment on the B-3 bomber. They have their people in the they're leaking what to tell the reporters to ask the spokesholes so that they can say there is no B-3 bomber. Then they're talking about a crisis in Albania. Did you know Jim Belushi's Albanian? Is he? I don't know. See, that's my point. And like they crafted a fake war to distract from what was going on. I mean, this is what they do. They told you in that movie, and everything that was done to deceptively edit, you know, this ABC producer to come in and do the role of Dustin Hoffman in this movie, you know, the fixer, if you will. All right, now we're going to film this scene where she's running out of the village and holding, it's like a bag of Lay's potato chips, and they CGI it. Now she's holding a cat. And now let's add more flames. Let's add some screaming in the background. Okay, now put an explosion here, and you get this clip of her running. It's literally what they're being accused of doing at January 6th. Please watch, everybody, please watch Wag the Dog, Blake included. And just
I've already seen it. I know what the movie is. It's great, but it's exactly what it is.
Every couple of decades, it's good to reread the Bible or 1984 or watch some of your favorite movies. Right. Different perspective 20 years later, and a refresher course, if you will. It's a masterpiece. But yeah, man, who's going to hold them accountable? Where do we go from here? Like if they thought there was going to be an insurrection before, if they were worried about pitchforks and torches, I mean, I don't know how much longer this information can come out before. I mean, you have a duty to overthrow government when it becomes oppressive, when it becomes totalitarian, dictatorial, treacherous. It's written in the fucking founding documents of our country. Like, this is not a government. This is a mafia.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, committing tyranny, and basically demonizing everything that's Americana in this country, and overruling everything, turning everything into this dystopia. And they want to disarm us, censor us, get rid of the Fourth Amendment, spy on us.
We want to cut the genitals off of little kids. I mean, it's like they can't get much more. Like, what other taboos? Like, when you get to cutting off genitals of little children, I mean, you're running out of creepy, demonic, evil things. But I mean, I guess you still have cannibalism, and you still have. I mean, like, there's only another thing or two that they can push that they haven't pushed yet. Like, these people, like, you get my point. Good Lord. And by the way, you saw what Netflix pushed with the Dahmer series. So they're pushing that stuff too.
I didn't watch that one, and I won't watch that one. So.
I will not either. All right, let's bounce to another topic here. Now, this was a topic that was not on the show list for today, but it was on the list the other day when you had to bounce. And you literally bounced off the set. You just kind of did like an Easter bunny. You just kind of did a sock hop kind of thing in the 40s.
Go to work, buddy. Yeah.
Yes. Ain't no rest for the wicked, they say, or something like that. But I mean, I think this now kind of starts to connect to the January 6th fraud, the treason, the lies, the subterfuge, the collusion. The two phrases: collusion. So here's the phrases when you hear, that somebody's going to be dishonest or they just were dishonest. Collusion, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, conspiracy theorist, insurrection. What are there's a couple of phrases, but anyway, all roads kind of lead to now that we know what we know, is it time for Joe Biden to step down? Would you agree or disagree, Blake, that it's time for Joe Biden to step down? We wanted to talk about it the other day, so it falls into function here in a chronological way that this story should be popping into our timeline, I think.
Yeah, I think it's past time, but what I will do is I will pull up the article because it's kind of a generic headline that I threw out there. But there was a purpose for it, and there were some reasons for it. And that was Biden falling up steps again, gets lost on stage again, and then jokes about not having a brain. Now, I did watch some of his speech today. I think he's trying to raise trillions of dollars for his new budget proposal or what have you. And I think they got him on enough meth or whatever that he seemed to pull through okay, at least in the parts that I saw. But he continually has embarrassing gaffes over and over. And there was a few highlights from last week. So I think that's from March 6th, so it's not really too far. But
can you play that one?
Talking about,
I think that's a line I want to see, because I had a very pointed critique of this line here. That video, can you scroll to that? Play that. I think that's going to be what I think I was commenting. Oh shit, there's a couple.
Yeah, maybe it's this one.
I had these terrible headaches.
I don't know if we can hear that. Let me see if I can get my.
Okay, that's a different one, but this is definitely now setting up the escape plan to claim dementia and to claim ignorance to this overthrow, this treason, all of this.
Diagnosed with having
Anyway,
they had to take the top of my head off a couple times, see if I had a brain.
Yeah, that was weird. He's getting lost on stage. Never knows where to go.
Given the salute there before he boards Air Force One, just like that. He touched down not even 4 hours ago.
That was a quick trip, but as you said, very impactful. The president also traveling with the press corps, so they will be on Air Force One.
Given the salute there before.
That was a little exaggerated. Yeah, there's a few clips in there.
I was trying to comment on
the fire one.
What's that one?
This is the one where he says every piece of his furniture had to be replaced at a fire in his home, but according to the report, it was only a small kitchen fire. So he made up a story in his head.
That's like Hillary taking on a sniper fire at the airport that never happened.
Yeah,
remember that one?
Like that. But then, and there was the no brain thing. Another stair stumble. I thought there was a different.
What's the no brain thing? Play that one, because that was the one about taking his head off the top
of
the doctors and headache.
But
there was a second one where he was talking about
these terrible headaches.
All right, not that one. It's not that one. What I was trying to find was the one where he says something about he said something incredibly self-deprecating about being a dumb white boy.
Oh, yeah, there's so many of them that it's hard to keep track of. But
anyway, if we had the clip, I would. Yeah, if we had the clip, I would play it for everybody. But I made the comment. I just said, this is Obama's script writers in the basement. I think they get their jollies, they get their kicks by trying to make these people say the most self-deprecating, hateful things about their own gender and race and ideology possible. They got Buttigieg saying there's too many white people working construction when they're burning toxic chemicals instead of scooping them up. They're dumping them into the river instead of siphoning them into a tank to take for processing. That's going on, and Buttigieg is saying there's too many white people with jobs. That's clearly an Obama line. That he's the most divisive president in American history. That's clearly an Obama line. And then, I forget exactly how they framed it with Joe Biden, but it was something like, for me, just being a dumb white guy or a white boy or a not intelligent white boy or white guy or something, self-deprecating to emasculate himself with this loathing, self-hatred racially. It's a complete Obama team line. I don't mean it's literally Obama typing it. I think they get their kicks watching this meat sack, this corpse puppet saying things that make white people cringe and make make the concept of being white look lame and dumb and stupid and bad. I'm telling you, man, like we're completely living in a cuckoo clock, Blake. I don't know what even else to say at this point. It's blatantly, patently absurd. So I don't know. Any final thoughts on Biden before we jump to some of these other stories here?
Well, yeah, it'd be ideal to get rid of Biden, but then who do you replace him with? So I think we're just setting on 2024, and we'll just let him stumble to the end. And then hopefully the election will go smoothly, transparently, and we can all agree happily on the results no matter what. But we shall see. But
I mean,
we're
couldn't
going to get a lot of
Kamala
gaps
get taken out? Kamala was funding the domestic terrorism of Antifa BLM during 2020. She was raising funds to get violent insurrectionists got to get them released from jail. Couldn't she be charged with treason along with Biden? And then you go to McCarthy and boom, they're out.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's even technically eligible, but yeah, I guess McCarthy could be the number 3. So
you just got to get to number 3. You got to take 2 of them out legally.
Right. Legally and lawfully, yeah. Then they can knock them out and
patriotically, peacefully, and what's the phrase? Peacefully and patriotically.
Yeah, peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard or whatever. Mm-hmm. Go down to the Capitol.
Fight like hell to get them out of office. All right, next topic.
Yeah.
All right, this is a question to Blake and to Dr. Jekyll and Frankie Brown and Dreamer Ultra and everybody else in the chat room. Join us, leave your comments, invite your friends. That's a cool thing too. If you're enjoying the content, would you please share this? Would you maybe grab the clip, find us on Rumble or find us on YouTube, do a copy and just run through your friends list, the people that are awake and not complete mental nincompoops, and just say, hey, there's some guys covering some stories that are, in a quick hour and a half or, whatever. You're going to get all the facts. It's entertaining. It's clever. It's timely. They run a great show. Please invite your friends to jump into the chat room and join us as well. But here's another question we ask everybody's feedback on. We're asking if you agree or disagree with this statement. Here's the statement, Blake. The WHO should have full spectrum dominance and dictatorial control over human health. Do you agree or disagree that the WHO should have full spectrum dominance and dictatorial control over human health?
Absolutely disagree with that. So I know, big shocker. Everyone can't believe. They're stunned. Throwing everybody a curveball, but not really. Yeah, this is going up an article. Well, this has been talked about. Let me see if I can get to the share screen here. They're positioning to become the global health dictator while the masses are distracted with the lab leaks. So newly proposed amendments to the international health regulations would give the World Health Organization dictatorial control, which now includes free speech that is deemed to be misinformation or disinformation. Yeah.
These bastards who fed us nothing but lies, misinformation and disinformation have the gall to try to claim to be the arbiters of truth. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Blake. This doesn't get any more absurd, and it would be laughable if it wasn't so terrifying.
It's absurd to you and me, but for them, they have got to be absolutely terrified of the people retaliating because they've been lied to over all of these regulations for the last few years. And Trump tried to defund the World Health Organization, but they got all their funding back once Biden took control.
Disgusting.
So, now, if ratified, these amendments would force all United Nations member states, including the United States, to adopt vaccine passports. So when the next pandemic arrives, as they say, the World Health Organization will only allow those in compliance with the latest vaccine mandates to travel, work, eat, and live. So it's pretty terrifying to put them in charge of everything. But of course, they would like that if they certainly could. And they say if the WHO gets its way, there will become global public health emergency declarations that inevitably lead to more lockdowns, mask mandates, jab mandates, travel restrictions, and whatever else the powers that deem suitable as final solutions as the next scare. So that is what it is. And also, well, that's actually a side issue. BlackRock, Vanguard seizing control over America's food supply. But yeah, but that would be like the end, New World Order sort of a dream of putting this corrupt health institution that takes tons of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars from us. I don't know where the hell that money goes. And they're going to try to override everything and work with the United Nations, including China, to be in charge.
I mean, the story is that the WHO is it's a Chinese mouthpiece. You know, they were the ones covering up the Wuhan, and we got to stop. Please, I know it's an alliteration. I'm in love with alliterations. Love with alliterations. In love. That's like a slant rhyme, but like I love alliterations. The double L. What am I doing here? I have such a hard time trying to figure out like this
on the
reverse
camera.
screen.
Reverse?
Yes, I have such a hard time with this. It's not difficult, but like a double L. Alliterations, lab leak. I get it, but stop saying a lab leak. That is just ignoring the fact that this could have been intentional. It was potentially intentionally released. I don't know that it was, but it's at least equal. Flip a coin. It's at least equally likely. Oh, you know, one of the workers got, he got bit by a bat, and then he went to go get some soup at the wet market, and then he exposed that lady, and then it got released. I've read Stephen King's The Stand twice. I've watched the movie 3 times. So once again, Blake, I do go back to the classics occasionally. Even know, I mean,
it's like a 6-hour miniseries. Damn.
Yes, I think I did ask you to watch that one time, didn't I?
Yes, you did, and I did. I watched the whole thing.
It's campy, sure, as a TV thing for the mid-90s,
really
of course. But the book's incredible, and that takes a little bit more of a commitment, I guess, compared to 6 hours of TV. But I mean, you're tempted to hear a story like that and go, oh well, maybe he got bit by, maybe he got bit, maybe he did get bit by a bat. That is tough to say. Say that, Blake. Maybe he did get bit by a bat. Go.
Maybe he did get bit by a bat. That is hard. Yeah.
He don't get him. But now maybe that did happen, and that was something that could have been feasibly, plausibly, potentially accurate. But look, I mean, it could have also been to shut up the Hong Kong protesters. It could have been to get Trump out of office. It could have been any number of things. And I don't want to just call it a lab leak. If what's a case of this? You go into the grocery store, or no, you're going to get gas. What's her face? Maxine Waters say, confront them at the gasoline stations. Okay.
Restaurants, all that stuff. Yeah, you got to get in their face, something like that.
Every outhouse, hen house, dog house, and farmhouse, like from The Fugitive. But no, like say you go to the gas station and you pick up a thing of iced tea, and you all right, cool, you walk away, and you bring it back and you're holding it, and you get in the car and and you set it down, but you look and you're like, oh crap, the cap must have been slightly askew, or I didn't realize and it leaked out. It's on my arm. It got on my pantaloons. It's on my trousers. So I says to him, it's on my trousers. It leaks onto the console, and you're like, oh, Dios mío, que lástima. I'm so embarrassed. How did I do this? What a leak. Oh, such an unfortunate leak. But like, that's an accident. I don't know that we can with certainty say that China didn't release this on the world on purpose. So I just it's a small point, the double L. I don't want to say lab leak. Every time I see it, I want to stop it and correct it, because we need to reframe what these things are all about. And it's a small point, but I think it's an important point, Blake. What say you?
Well, yeah, it's an important point, and whether it's intentional or a leak from a lab, I think we can at least agree on those two possibilities. The idea that it just happened to occur naturally right next to the lab seems laughable, but they were able to push that narrative for a long time. And the doctors that didn't want to go along with it were either not brought into the conversation, or they were paid $9 million worth of grant money.
There's been an explosion of rich chocolatey goodness in Hershey, Pennsylvania. What could it be? I want to do a callback to something here, moving along past this story, because I know Blake, you have the heart out again. 20 minutes.
I would say it's like 11 minutes. So we're at about a minute. We're at an hour and 19. If we can shut it down
Okay,
at
then let's go
perfect
fast.
90 minutes, that would be ideal.
All right, I want to go back to. I want to call back to this thing right here, if you will. Something as we continue to equalize these volumes for podcast, Blake. Can we check that they're all at the same volume? That they all have the same. Some of them like blow my ears out, and some of them are a little quiet. But
I had to
just,
doctor that one because the previous audio on that was like really kind of aggressive. The one that it came with, so I changed it to that one. But
it was.
I'll have to mess with.
Yeah, it was still a little hot.
Decibels.
A little
All right,
hot.
sorry
Yes.
about that.
No.
Well,
Hey,
you're
look,
wearing earphones, so yeah, headphones.
I am. Yeah, we are. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the podcast group, but it goes for anybody listening anyway. So this is from Russia Today, from February 28th, and I've only recently heard this. This came up. Biden calls himself white, but not stupid. The U.S. leader made the odd remark at a Black History Month event. U.S. President Joe Biden made a strange assessment of his intelligence at a White House event celebrating Black Americans on Monday, while praising his administration for a series of historic first African Americans in high office. Quote, I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah,
What?
that's awkward.
And he continues, I know where the power is. You think I'm joking? I learned a long time ago about the Divine Nine. Biden said at the event marking the end of Black History Month, though Biden has been criticized for tall tales before, from claiming in 2022 that he was arrested at a civil rights protest, or the off-debunked story about visiting the South African dissident Nelson Mandela. His cryptic remark about power may be accurate in context. What's the point? I don't know.
Well, I think that is the point. It's a terrible quote. It's not very presidential.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid. Why would a white boy be considered stupid? Why would he say such a ridiculous, racist, self-deprecating thing?
He's trying to be the cool guy, but he's so old and he's got dementia.
So is that cool to bash an entire race of people that you happen to be a part of?
He doesn't think about things like that. He's impulsive, and it was funny during the Obama administration, but now he's old and he's falling apart, and it looks terrible.
Weekend at Biden's. All right, next story.
Yeah.
I like that song. That's a good one.
Yeah.
How about this one? Since we're talking about black and white and crime and issues affecting our world today, Blake, do you agree or disagree that reparations would stop youth from robbing liquor stores? Agree or disagree with this? What in the world is this about?
Say disagree. It's an interesting theory, but I would definitely disagree with that. I would be pretty surprised if that were actually able to happen. I mean, it's a point. Well, let's get into it a little bit more.
Well, let's get into it after these two comments. This first comment from Dreamer Ultra says that is definitely written for Biden, talking about I may be a white boy, but I'm not dumb. Continues on, he leaves another comment saying, I would think there is a war room feeding that line and just erupting in laughter. What is that? What is that show? Jokers, Impractical Jokers, where they have an earpiece and they're telling you what to say, and it's like, let's tell them to say the most absurd shit possible and laugh our asses off while this guy makes a clown of himself. This is we're living through an administration, Blake, that is an episode of Impractical Jokers with Biden in office. That's my new contention.
It may be. It feels like aliens have taken over our world and our leaders, and they're now just messing with us. Yeah, to get them to go on with the most absurd BS. Because there's another story about their in there. Well, we'll get to that with the award.
Okay, final point on that. Maybe there's always been alien leaders in control of this planet, and that's why things are so weird. That's a concept of the new movie that I'm working on, to be continued. Coming soon, perhaps, hopefully. Okay, so reparations. Would this stop youth from robbing liquor stores, Blake? Tell me. Agree?
Okay, well, here, I'll put it out. This is out of the Information Liberation. This is a true story. So it's Big Money Griffin, activist Morrison. I think we met him at the, which was with the Politicon in L.A. I actually interviewed him. Interesting guy, really funny guy. We talked to him and Tim Pool. He says there's only one thing that will stop black youth from looting liquor in jewelry stores, and that's reparations. According to community actor.
Oh, come on. This cannot be serious, Blake.
Well,
what in the world is this?
Well, okay. In theory, he's not. He's got a point. He's got a point. Like, listen, just hold on, because I mean, I can watch Fox News any day, and they're going to be talking about how there's black kids that are going in, they're robbing places in California, jewelry stores, watches, stuff like that. But if they had money, if they got a big reparations check. And what have they been talking about? The task force said they're considering reparation payments of $360,000 each to 1.8 million eligible blacks in California. That'd be $650 billion. So if all of these guys got a check for $360,000, right, they wouldn't have to go rob a liquor store or rob jewelry or sunglasses or wherever. They rush some of those stores. So he does make a point. But I just think that some of these people have such, Well, you're not going to rob a store if you got all that money, right? You got all that money, you can just go buy whatever you want. To an extent, until you run out of money. So that'd be
is that the only other option? It's either, look, we're going to rob all the stores, or we're going to give money from people who never owned a slave to people who never were slaves, so that so it's like it's an extortion. If you don't give us $360,000, what was the number? $360,000.
$360,000.
If you don't give us $30,000 per month for a year, we're going to steal. How is that the only other option?
Because most of these people, no offense, not most, but I mean, there's a significant
easy,
amount
Blake,
of them.
Easy. What you're about to say. Let's
right. So not most, but people that are stealing. Okay. I'm talking about the people who are stealing
thieves
in liquor stores or watches or whatever. If you gave them a big chunk of money like that, most likely they'd probably spend it all. A lot of people that win lotteries blow all their money and they're broke in 5 years. So if they don't know how to save and manage their finances, they're just going to be back to square one. So if you did give a monthly, maybe that would help. But that just doesn't seem fair.
For a year,
it would obviously be. It's an insane amount of money. Yeah, again, for what you said, they weren't connected to that. I don't. It's a dumb
from people who didn't own a slave to give to people who were not a slave,
right?
Because reasons. I'm sorry, like that mathematical equation is bonkers to me, sir. Bonkers.
It is, but he makes a point. But it would be ridiculous to go there.
I would agree. Okay. Any other final thoughts on this? We got one more story left. We'll keep it tight.
Okay. No, I'm good. Blake, do you agree? Blake, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Transgenders should absolutely win awards designated for women. Agree or disagree, Blake Walley? Another surprise. Disagree. And thanks, Frankie. It was great to have you again. Have a good one. Let me see if I can pull that article.
I'm sorry. Hold on. What's that comment? I'm sorry, not to pull this away, but like this means something in my head when I read this. I don't think this is what. Great show as always. I have to take the girls out.
Or take your daughters out. Yeah.
Okay. Set that aside. I just thought of like Mardi Gras, never mind. Maybe the podcast people. See, now I'm thinking about like blind people that are only listening on podcasts.
Oh, that's your dirty mind.
They didn't see me lifting my shirt to let the girls out. It's that line from The Simpsons: "Free the Springfield 2, Marge. Free the Springfield 2." Anyway, that's where my brain went. But thanks for watching. We appreciate you, Frankie Brown. Sorry, that's what my head thought. I'm like, great show as always. Ta-da!
Thank you.
All right, back to the story. What else we got here?
Let's see if I can pull up a quick article. I was going to get another one on there. Oh, well. Let's see. How do I do the screen share again? Figures.
The up arrow button.
Got it. Here we go. So the White House gives the International Women's Day of Courage Award to a biological male. So here you got Jill.
Who
and
gave this?
Anthony Blinken. That's Jill Biden. That's First Lady Jill.
Okay,
And there's
okay.
Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State.
They love this topic so much.
Yeah, so it was International Women's Day, I guess, yesterday. Gave the award to Alba Rueda, a transgender person from Argentina. So she was kicked out of classrooms, barred for sitting for exams, refused job opportunities, subjected to violence, and rejected by her family. But in the face of those challenges, she worked to end violence and discrimination against the LGBTQ community in Argentina. And certainly it's good for her. I don't have anything personal against her. And yes, she is courageous to be, her version of her authentic self, and to be outspoken and be an activist and get things done and help other disenfranchised people or whatever. But the reality is, at the end of the day, she's not a woman. She's not a biological woman. And that's kind of a slap in the face to other women that could have won that award. But in the last few years, and it just kind of seems obvious that anytime that there's a trans involved, they get the special treatment and they get the awards. And I think that's very disrespectful. So
speaking of very disrespectful, I just want to wrap up and bookend what we just said here. No. She's not talking about a Mardi Gras thing. She's taking the dogs out. She's not.
Oh, okay.
Who let the dogs out? Like, you're not letting the girls out, because some ladies call they call them their girls. And
right.
After a long day of work, you take off the bra and you go, let the girls out. I don't know. Anyway, turn of phrase, but thank you for the clarification. Go take those dogs out. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this whole topic came really popular when Joan Rivers was asked a question, and she answered something very interesting at the time. She said she was asked, I believe, something about the first, when will we have the first gay president or something? And she goes, oh, please, we already do. And the guy's like, what? Just everybody knows Michelle is a tranny. And then she goes, what? And the guy goes, huh? He goes, everybody knows. And she walked in and did a thing. And it was like a couple days later, she was dead from like a normal routine procedure, a Botox facelift, a skin tightening, and just a little light procedure. Yeah. She was dead a couple of days later. And ESPN, ABC, Disney has been, do you remember the look on Brett Favre's face when they gave Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner an award for, and that was when ESPN started pushing it, and they cut to Brett Favre, and he's like, he kind of like, he was our spirit animal. We're all going, oh my God, what are they doing? I don't have any information with any certainty, but it's been, the Obama administration has really turned this into a nonstop issue. And it's really led to people getting top and bottom surgeries, just mutilating their sexual organs. I have a psychology degree. I study this stuff. It's called gender dysphoria. It's where you think you're something that you're not. It's real. We should have compassion. We should have empathy. We should be caring and not vindictive, spiteful, mean, or violent. I'm on board for all of these things. But am I supposed to be a cheerleader for all of this? I don't think I need to be a cheerleader for this. It's harming so many people, Blake, this gender confusion stuff. So, and shouldn't we okay, another quote, Dreamer Ultra, shouldn't we rename Women Day to something more inclusive? It's friggin' 2023, LOL. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, something more inclusive. Oh, let's do this and we'll wrap the show on this one. Can we play that clip? Let me see if I can find it. I think it was so well done. What was it? Here we go. Here's this commercial. This came out, and I thought it was the best thing most interesting thing I've seen. Wait, where's the video? Doggone it. Where's the video? Jeremy's Chocolate. Where's the video? Oh, here we go. Sells 500,000 chocolate bars in 5 days.
Genius.
Do you remember the setup to it? While I scroll to find this video to play, can you do the setup?
Yeah. So Jeremy's going back. He's a slick marketer. So he actually went against the one of the razor companies, and he invented his own razor
It was Harry's, right?
Harry's. So because they were turning in woke companies, and so Hershey's came out with a promotion for Valentine's Day. It was Hershey Bar or whatever, and they had some kind of a transgender activist, and that was kind of rubbing people wrong. Another big, woke stuff. We don't like seeing that. It's irritating, and so he fought back again with the Daily Wire and put out another commercial, basically advertising. I don't know where he got all the chocolate and everything, but it was genius marketing.
Genius marketing. Let's watch this video. It's hold on. Is that a hold on. Did this article really trick me by doing a screen grab with a play button that doesn't play? You bastages. Is this it?
It may have.
Oh my gosh, what a show.
It is.
Hold on.
Screen grab without a link. That's no good.
And it shows the play button. So we're and the play button is just a link. Okay, I think sites that do stuff like this should be erased from the internet forever.
It's like they got AI doing it. I don't know.
Here's the commercial. Here we go. Can you still see it? Is it still up on the
Yeah,
screen?
I can see it now.
Okay, it's loading, it's thinking. Okay, it's still thinking. And here we go.
International Women's Day is upon us again, and I love an international woman. But our friends over at Hershey's, they don't even know what a woman is. They've hired a biological male to be the spokesperson for their Women's Day campaign, and they're calling the campaign, and I swear I'm not making this up, Hershey. Hershey. It's humiliating, and it's the reason that I'm launching Jeremy's chocolate. We have two kinds.
I love the eagle.
She, her, and he, him. One of them's got nuts. If you need me to tell you which one it is, keep giving your money to Hershey's. But if you're tired of giving your money to woke corporations that hate you, and you're looking for a delicious chocolate bar from a company that actually wants your business, head over to IHateHershey's.com and order Jeremy's chocolate today.
By the way, was that what's her face? Hey, look, it's advertising our show. Here, let's close this. Was that what's her face from the Daily Wire in that commercial? It was, right? The one that looks like the female version. It looks like the female version of Ben Shapiro. She does a show on there. What's her
Dana
name?
Lash or something? I don't even know. No. She's on the Blaze, right? I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know where I lost where she's at, but no, it's that girl. She does a show, but she looks like the spitting image of like a Ben Shapiro clone as a female.
Okay.
No offense to either of them, but like side by side. Oh, what is her name? Anyway, type it in the comments or
no. We'll have to look up the Daily Wire crew.
Yeah, she's on the. Fine, I got for closure on the story. Let's see, Daily Wire lady show. Is that will that help us find it?
Maybe.
What's her face?
That's the big burning question. But yeah, it was great there. I don't know where they got all the chocolate. I don't know how long that they were planning that or what have you. But good on them. So looks like they did very well with that campaign. Just going anti-woke has paid off dividends. So
I found her. Her name is Brett Cooper.
Oh,
do you know who Brett?
Know her at all.
You haven't encountered Brett Cooper? Take a look.
Is she a person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, she is, and she's in the commercial. She's the lady. I'm Brett Cooper.
Oh, okay.
Can you? Why is that so small? I just wanted a image. I just want to see a. I mean, I'm just saying. Oh my God, that was the side by side. That was the side by side I was hoping for. Where's that?
Her and Ben?
Yes, I just saw that and it disappeared. Where'd that go? Oh, Lord.
I don't know.
Anyway, no offense to either of them, but I just now realized that she was in that commercial, and it's called the comments section with Brett Cooper. And yeah, I mean, if you take a look, it looks just like her. Anyway, sorry, that wasn't a planned segment, but I wanted to do that. Brett Cooper.
All right.
Okay. Anyhow, back to
mystery solved. All right.
Mystery solved. So
chocolate lady. All right.
Yes,
Good
she is.
stuff.
She'll forever be the international chocolate lady. All right, Blake. Any stories we didn't get to? Any final thoughts? Any new things that you jotted down as like we didn't quite work it into the show? Any odds and ends, bits and pieces you want to toss out before we wrap it up here today, sir?
I mean, there were a couple of things that I think we cut out just because in the
Lightning
nature of
round,
time,
speed
there was so
round.
many good things. No, I've got to go.
Okay.
Brian.
Okay.
I go way up against the wall every time, and I'm scrambling out the door, like racing to work, so I can basically
go.
clock in 1 minute early, and that kind of gets really stressful. But it was interesting to see Ron DeSantis out in Florida. Talking, kind of resetting the narrative about the hoax of the book banning, and they're actually showing some pretty graphic stuff that's in children's schools that really shouldn't be there. AOC got busted with the Met Gala thing. I think I put that on Twitter. That was interesting, and of course, we'll see what happens with the weaponization of the federal government and this Matt Taibbi and that going on Capitol Hill, I'm sure. And we'll find out what happens with Tucker tonight. So lots of good stories in the news today, but I think that's all I've got. And we can wait on everything else for the next time.
Perfect. Maybe we'll even go tomorrow with 3. We'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. But we're all about creating new content. Follow us on the New American Media. Follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on Twitter. Blake Walley out. On to his next endeavor for the day. We appreciate you, Blake. Thank you so much. And to all the viewers out there in radio land and in streaming land and on podcast land, we appreciate you. We love you. Please invite your friends to join us if they're similarly minded people. We want them to join our party, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.
All right, guys. See you later.